In the beginning, there was life, and then there wasn't. When I was younger, I remember Christmas more than anything else of note. Certainly more than I learned to articulate myself, as you're about to find out. Christmas as a kid, and by a kid, I mean from my earliest memory until I was about 13 or 14, were filled with pure joy. And Christmas morning, my brother and my sister and I would be desperate to go downstairs and view our presents, but my mum wouldn't let us until my dad had checked if Santa Claus had been. As a teenager, that's totally lame, but as a man in his late 30s, it really makes me smile. After opening our gifts and sharing them out, we'd put on some mediocre TV show, or it'd be a standard Christmas special that would be on, a show that we wouldn't watch in June but now felt like Sopranos in December. We'd start to get ready, kitted out in our new gear, Cliff Richard on the background, of course, in preparation for going to my grand's. The whole family would be there, excited, talking about what we got. We'd laugh and drink, share food and stories, and even argue about why Oasis were better than the Beatles. Well, I did anyway. My gran would bring out a turkey, we'd eat our weight in amazing food and drink some more. After eating enough to stuff a blue whale, we'd share gifts, drink some more, laugh some more. After that, we would head to my aunt's. We would party, eat, drink, be a family. It was perfect, and then it wasn't. I guess in hindsight, it got progressively worse. But as an immature teen, I barely noticed. I knew my dad was going missing occasionally and abused alcohol, amongst other substances. But I didn't appreciate how bad it was until my mum had had enough. He was spending weekends in jail, the odd night in the hospital, and who knows the other nights. My mum didn't want him around her kids, so he left. But this is a man who could barely put on his own shoes. How on earth was he going to organise a house, let alone a life? So I went with him. We moved from place to place across Port Glasgow, including Robert Street. That's a default setting for the housing department back then. This is an area so badly run down and toxic it's impervious to gentrification and can only be destroyed when it finally burns in the fires of hell. Well, it's fairly deprived. This didn't go down well with my extended family. At a time in my life when I should be dreaming of being a UFC champion, flirting with girls and drinking cheap cider, I was coming home to traffic backed up the street because my dad was passed out in the middle of the road. I was being stopped in the streets by aunts and cousins telling me I was breaking my mum's heart and how terrible a person my dad was. Talk about cognitive dissonance, a burning hatred for a man who'd created a toxic life I was exposed to, yet overwhelming sorrow for him due to the vitriolic disdain espoused towards him by his own family. I could barely cope with this spectrum of grief. And as any form of conflict, I chose a side. I chose him. I rejected my mum and siblings as I naively blamed them. I rejected my mum's family as they hated him, and I rejected his family as they were ashamed of him. Christmas would be fun that year. Due to his behaviour, he wasn't any stranger to the police, which meant involvement with social services. So we had a deal. If he attends addiction groups, I'd get to stay, so I dragged him along kicking and screaming, almost literally. There we listened to addicts just like him, who would tell stories of shame, reminding themselves of the worst elements of who they are, condemning them to a perpetual cycle of guilt. They weren't John the plumber, they were John the junkie. I seen myself though in every single one of them. I too have a tendency to define myself as a victim and give up, but there has to be more than this. So I chose to never be like him. I chose to stop condemning myself by my environment. I chose to stop being a victim. I went back to training and fought professionally in mixed martial arts, Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at championship level. I got an honours degree in politics, psychology and sociology. I lived in Australia for a year. I learned to play guitar, not very well. I climbed over 60 Munros. I won Player of the Year with a football team that won a league. But I also accepted my dad for who he was. My dad died a few years ago of an overdose of pills. It broke my heart and sent me into a spiral of shame and guilt that I can still feel today. Could I have done more? Have I wasted my life? However, on reflection, it wasn't his death or the life he created for me that made me anxious or depressed. Rather, the freedom his death brought me. Before, I always had an excuse to not take risks. I had someone to blame when I failed. Now it was on me. What if I failed now? That's my fault. That scared me. This attitude of self-reflection hasn't helped me though. What I've learned from my dad and those around me is that however we feel about ourselves comes down to a few basic tenets. Primarily connection. How we connect, who we connect with and how we connect with them. For me, I found a grounding in my beautiful, amazing, smart, talented girlfriend. She's given me a purpose. When the rest of my life is falling apart, she makes me happy. I also have a group of amazing friends who I can rely on. They distract me and make me laugh, and they allow me to find joy. And I've also repaired some of the damage with my patient and very, very understanding family. So my goals, if I have any, aren't one of materialism, of money or fame or fortune, although some would be nice, but they're existential. My goal is people, to be around as many as possible, to help more than I hinder, to make happy more than I upset, to inspire more than I fail, and maybe one day have another perfect Christmas.